Check out this aggressively beautiful book here, Orcborg. It is full size, as you can see. It's compatible with Orcborg and probably Cyborg now that it's out. It was a successful Kickstarter. It's about 30 pages. It's only available right now as a PDF on Drive Through RPG. I'm not sure if it's going to be made for print on demand. But there's the front, here's the back, and it says you are an orc, you live in space, aboard the dialect, an out-of-control junk rocket. You are furious gods, and your scrawled prophecies speak of doom, where the dialect will crash into heaven, and you can't wait for it to happen. He will fight and yell and steal and kill to secure a front row seat for the apocalypse. It sounds wonderful. This is a standalone game, which is very cool. Uh, it's compatible with Orcborg, but you don't need it, because there's rules in here to play. In essence, kind of the same rules that are in Orcborg. So let's take a look. So, I mean, you can see every page is like this: yellow, pink, uh, black. It's very aggressive, and I like it. So here's your table of contents here. First, I'm going to tell you about the Dialect ship. So it's got Doomhaven, which is a massive orc junker with 7 warring holes, and then these other ships have kind of like crashed into it. And it says, the Dialect is a great big beautiful trash rocket smashing through space, and it is jam-packed with orcs. Generations upon generations of them boring and scrapping, building murderous idols to their mad gods, and praying for doom when the dialect will crash into heaven and disgorge every dead hard, big-toothed bastard in a glorious green tide. You're an orc, and you fight and kill and pray and scheme and tinker and howl for a place in heaven. So pretty neat. You've got these different ships here. One's Tomorrow's Tomorrow, filled with cultish spacer humans who sacrifice orcs to the ship's innards. You've got Cassandra, the climate monitoring satellite from a doomed planet, pilgrimage for techno wizards. And then these different holes here fighting. 7-hole, dark and Warrenus, greasy wretches build death machines, or the 5-hole, goblin enclave, specialized in guerrilla warfare. So much like Orcborg, we have the prophecies of doom. And what's going to happen is the lights of this place kind of come on and off. And so you pretty much have like 12 hours of light, 12 hours of dark. And that's going to kind of be your indicator for a 24-hour period. And so throughout the ship, things are going to happen. You're going to have your die to roll. And it's going to be every morning you're going to roll. And a point of doom is going to come if you roll a 1. And it's going to change the way some of the stuff is happening in the ship. Like this right here. 2-1 is every third weapon gets a bloody demon living in it. And it's a nightmare. You've got howling winds blow through the corridors and knock structures flat. Or you've got electricity arcs down corridors at random, cooking orcs in their skin. So very cool. I would probably have this. I like how it goes down to D2. Here we fucking go. Here's D2. Here's D6. So I would probably get some of these things really shaken on this crazy ship. And then once you get to the last one, the ship is going to crash into heaven. And anyone who doesn't die in the crash gets to see the sky and the ground and yell and fight forever. So here we've got the rules. So kind of your basic thing for Orcborg, obviously in the Orcborg style here. You've got your tests, you've got your hit points, you've got your stats, origins for you being an orc, physical features such as a crazy eye, huge fucking teeth, as wide as you are tall, powerfully fat, like that, big arse. So yeah, pretty cool. You might have an implanted weapon. And then you can get some stuff. You've got tech, which is in essence kind of like your credits or money. So you're going to start with some stuff here. You're going to roll 3d20. So you've got these things called music slugs. I'm not exactly sure what music slugs are, but there's music genres. So you can roll a d8. It says if you want, and it's like drum bastard, thrash yell, piano hammer, and I guess it's just kind of the music maybe that you enjoy. So here's armor. I like the way this is shown here. You get +1 to your attack if you have none. That's cool. So you get -1 if you start getting heavier. And then this is pretty big. You can power it up with tech, which is neat. But it only goes to -4 damage. So it's not like you're going to be defending a whole bunch here, blocking a bunch of damage. Miracles are pretty much going to be your omens. Same rules for leveling up, but you may get a prayer or a techno wizard rune. Here's the weapons. It just looks fantastic. So you can have a D12 or... but you get a D6 if you start with a power, either an Orcish Prayer or Techno Wizardry rune. So that's pretty neat. And it tells you if you use a two-handed weapon one-handed, the attack is going to be DR16. So looks great. And of course, I think some of these for Cyborg, you could add the auto fire rule to, much probably this cannon here, and make it useful in Cyborg. Same as like the Doom cannon. Ripper Claw, Auto Mangler. It says here fires the whole clip at once, so roll D3 attacks per round. A little bit different than obviously than what Cyborg has in it. And then you've got your powers here. So normal type of rules for using a power, but you've got techno wizardry and you've got orc prayers. So you've got these glowing runes that speak to the dialect in its own language. Frowned upon by proper orcs, techno wizardry comes installed on single function computers, a swappable data slug or arcane punch cards, which makes me think that those music slugs are just like things you plug in to play music that you like. So obviously some neat abilities here. Open the nearest door, including those you're unaware of. That's the right of the blue key. You've got Smite Protocol, electrify metal surface. You're touching, everyone else touching it takes D4 damage. I like that one. The Icarus Matrix, target you can see is in 0 gravity for 10 rounds. That's pretty neat. So very cool stuff there. And then you got Orc Prayers. Good old-fashioned traditional sacred yells that channel divine power. Prayers are inscribed on steel plates, printed on clothing or tattooed on steel. On skin. So you have like Profound Blessing, DR -2 on the next target's next test. That's going to be helpful. Rip and Tear, your attacks ignore armor for 10 rounds. Doom, Doom, Doom. D3 guns, you shout at, do D10 damage next time they shoot. So you shout at your weapons. Pretty cool. Slam, D6 damage to everyone standing within arm's reach. And then you have the Orc Gods. So here we've got 6 different gods here of the Orc variety. Here's Gulgak, Scarfather, Tooth Spitter. You can never die despite frequent attempts by other deities. Echo, the Star Howler, the great mouth from whose throat all yells emerge. So very cool to give a little bit of stuff there to kind of bolster their religious aspect of the orcs. Here's Scrapping. All the rules you need for combat are right here. Everything's pretty much in place in what you know. You can get mangled, of course. You can get some quirks. Like if it says like mangled, your head gets mangled, you develop a quirk. You can't speak to anyone unless you taste them first. Convinced the doom isn't coming, you slip into melancholy. You now consider hiding a form of heresy. Weapons don't work unless you yell at them. So just fun, great orc stuff. And then look at this. So this is the character sheet here. It's on its side, as you can see. So very nice, and it's got everything you need. And then you've got this class, the Orcborg. So you can choose to play an Orcborg at character creation. If you do, roll 3d6 instead of 4d6 drop low for your stats. So you don't get as great as stats, but it's got its origins. And then I love this. Your legs are springs and pistons. Your arms are spiked and rusted, implements of death. Your guts run on car batteries and starship fuel. Your eyes have been replaced with an off-brand video camera. Your brain is a repurposed MP3 player. You are testament to the ingenuity of orc surgeons and engineers, and the resilience of the orc body. And you're only getting more and more metal as the doom approaches. So very cool. You get to start off with a random techno wizard room. As you start with a power, you'll roll smaller dice on certain equipment tables as indicated. Your room is installed in one of your body parts. Pick which, and you're so accustomed to using it, the test is only DR10 to cast it instead of DR12. You can swap it out for any other rune you find, but if your chosen part is mangled, the rune is destroyed. And you'll also begin with one of these items here. Loads of cameras, wheels, you've got wheels instead of legs, technocopier, electric hands, overclock everything, take D3 damage and pick a stat, +2 to test, using that stat for the next hour. If you still have a nose, you get terrible nosebleeds when you do this. So very cool. And then you've got big robots. So big expression of orcish power is the big robot, clanking, smoking, screeching, war machines bristling with spikes and guns and claws and rust. Those are piloted by a single orc who has had their brain and body wired into the device to allow them proper control. It's possible to operate one without being jacked in, but it makes it much harder to steer. So obviously rules for using one of these big robots. You've got critical damage here, and you've got some things here that's pretty neat. It says you only need one arm when it's as good as the one arm attached to a massive problem. So there's the massive problem there. Cankerous and vulnerable, passed down through generations. Light mech crewed by goblin eager to get ahead. So different types of big robots with different Like this one's got a giant fist. This one's got electric claws, a smash cannon, and buzz claws on that one. So very cool. There's some different robots to use. It says when you're attacked, your big robot takes damage instead of you. If it runs out of hit points, roll on the big robot critical damage table below. And of course, it could do damage to you. It can explode or crash or catch on fire. So very neat. And then we've got some turds here. These are going to be your bad guys. Cultists, the Godwalker, some cool art here. The Scion, the Peon, winged abominations with many arms and holding wicked swords. So pretty neat. Demon-blooded cult leaders, their alien physiology turned hellish by parentage. And then you've got some more here. You've got the Spacer, humans whose ancestors' vessels crashed into the dialect, gone wild and desperate. The Spacer Chosen. They've got some armor here. Cold-eyed leaders of Spacer Harvester gangs. And then the Space God Speaker. Barely any meat left, covered in chittering bionics. More guys. You've got the Stormer Orc, the Sharpshooter Orc. Mean-looking bastards who break into rival strongholds and steal whatever they can carry. The Yell Priest. I like that. That's a good name. Bug-eyed Goblin. So very cool. Look at that. Just the art. Obviously, if you're a fan of like 40K, if you like orcs, this is right up your alley. And then you've got map hacking. The dialect has been honing through the cosmos for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years, and there are no end of spaceships that have crashed into it, accidentally teleported inside it, or attached themselves to the external holes on special missions and never managed to disengage. So, yeah, so you've got like what's the entrance to this place, what happened after the impact. You have kind of like a job. They don't have allegiance to anything orcs do, but you can get some payments, such as storm a cursed 7-hole stronghold, where they bargain with demons, or burn down a techno-wizard stronghold before they avert the apocalypse. So some ways to get you into some hacking and slashing and, messing stuff up. Then any dungeon map. This is pretty neat. So you can take any dungeon map and kind of make it an Orcborg map. So there's the easy, the regular, and the hard version. So in the easy version, a wizard did it. A spell went wrong and catapulted the dungeon through space, time, and intellectual property laws into the far future, and now a bunch of orcs are trying to break in and take everything. Dungeons will be an interesting source of wood and stone, which there isn't much of in the dialect, and it's fun to go and shoot rust monsters and dragons with big guns, then wear parts of them as hats. So that's just fun. Then the hard version, take a map and any notes attached to it and get your pen out, then scrub out any reference to this being an old-timey underground prison. Stone flooring, it's metal now. Mad wizard, mad scientist, dragon, a robot, probably ghosts, embodied AIs, traps, security systems, bottomless pits, airlocks, strange fantastical inhabitants, strange alien inhabitants. So very cool to be able to make your own dungeon there from whatever map you may find. And then that's the end. So it's obviously a very nice package there. I like the way it looks. I hope it gets a print on demand on ttrpg. It obviously won't have this type of, the cover here is almost kind of like it's a thick cardboard, but ttrpg's print on demand is not going to be exactly the same as that. But, or maybe it's just going to stay as a PDF. I'm not sure, but yeah, very cool. I like the way it looks. If you like orcs, if you like 40K orcs, this definitely kind of feels like that, but with Borg or Cyborg attached to it. And I really dig the look for it. A little bit difficult sometimes. You know how these Borg products are. A little difficult sometimes to see some of the way that words are, the fonts. But this one I think was a little bit easier than some of the other ones I've looked at. But some cool stuff here in the back, and I like the fact that it's its own game. So there you go. There's Orcborg. So I hope you've liked this video, and share it, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate you watching, and look out for the next video.